Hey, what's up, everybody? Someone finally got an interview with this guy. Oh, I've been waiting. Oh, I've been waiting. Oh, hopefully he gets some juicy. All right, now calm down. That's my other phone. Not hurting the chat. All right, everything's good to go. You're set up. Start the show, shall we? Let's get rid of that. Hop on into it here. Coffeezilla. First, go subscribe, man. Go subscribe. This guy is man. And like, if you want to find out about a scam and how it's ran, this guy right here, he's the man. All right,
My lawyers chewed me the out for that one.
legend
The
here.
first thing they said after that was, "They said, Sam, you have only one thing to tell you. You have to promise that you never, ever, ever say you up again."
Yeah,
Today we
because
have an exclusive
that's
interview
what
with Sam
that's what
Bankman-Fried
happens
discussing the
when you
bankruptcy
fuck
of
up
his
really big in a
billion-dollar
company.
FTX, why he hates
They
when
give you a
people talk
second
about his
shot.
love life, and his massive donations to political parties. Now, since going bankrupt and being accused of fraud, Sam's been mostly quiet. But recently that changed when he gave an interview to a citizen journalist, Tiffany Fong. Now, we've actually talked about
She can get
Tiffany's
it.
work on the show before. Last time she released an insider call of a different billion-dollar fraud, Celsius. This time she's talking to Sam Bankman-Fried. And since I know a lot about FTX, hopefully I can provide some context and fact-checking where needed, because Sam, he lies a lot. Now, we'll be talking to Tiffany later, but for now, let's talk about one of the biggest claims in the call. You might have heard by now that Sam was the second largest Democrat donor in 2022, which, in addition to his significant donations to news outlets, might have been one of the reasons that he was covered so favorably, with an image of being the most generous billionaire. But ultimately, Sam told Tiffany on a call that this wasn't the full story.
They donated about the same amount to both parties this year. That was not generally known because, despite Citizens United being literally the highest profile Supreme Court case of the decade and the thing everyone talks about when they talk about campaign finance, for some reason, in practice, no one can possibly fathom the idea that someone in practice actually gave dark. So, I don't know, all my Republican donations were dark.
Wow. Sam is claiming he gave Republicans the same amount, but under the table. The Citizens United ruling that he's referring to, it allows people to donate so-called dark money to influence politicians. In other words, Sam wouldn't be required to disclose that donation.
That's convenient in that we can't verify that at all.
And the reason he wanted to do it this way was so that basically the journalists would like him more.
And the reason was not for regulatory reason. It's because reporters freak the out if you donate to a Republican. They're all super liberal and didn't want to have that fight. So I just made all the Republican ones dark.
All right, there's
Okay, so if true, yeah, that's all completely. Yeah, they're all liberals. I mean, obviously, right? We all know that. I mean, look, really? I'm if you've reached adulthood, you haven't realized that by now, and the kind of pyramid scheme we got going on, where there's what is it? 4 companies that own everything. Yeah, they're totally not. They're totally not in it. They're totally not. They totally went buy up everything, right?
There's a lot to unpack here. Let's start with the fact, is this even true? I don't know. I have no idea. He could be lying. Sam lies all the time. For example, anyone remember when he said FTX was solvent right before it went bust? Yeah. So because of that, because I don't know if he's lying, I decided I'd try to verify these dark money donations. Go figure, I couldn't because the money it's dark. You're not supposed to be able to find it. But either way, if he's lying, this looks bad for him. But if he's telling the truth, it looks worse. I mean, it shows you how cynical Sam was. He never cared about politics. He cared about power and perception. That's why he played both sides. So he always would come out on top. And worst of all, They bought it. The media loved him. Some of them still love him. And going back to the
To be fair, a lot of people donate to both sides. Rich people.
part about trustworthy, though, this is what's kind of hard about covering Sam in general. Everything has an asterisk or a question mark next to it because, unfortunately, Sam is very biased against not going to jail. He wants that to be the outcome here. So everything we talk about needs to be viewed through that lens. So for the next part of this call, I want to talk about an example of how Sam lies and obfuscates the truth, because so much of it is about trying to craft an image with Sam. Obviously, we just talked about how he tried to craft an image of being this generous billionaire, but after the FTX blow up, well, he can't be that anymore. What's the new image? Well, instead of being a fraud, the new image is a smart guy who made an embarrassing mistake. And you'll hear that in how he answers this next question, which is essentially talking about the backdoor in FTX, which was used to defraud customers. And pay attention to how he answers it.
See, I mean, I feel like there was something about a backdoor that allowed you to execute commands that could alter the company's financial records without alerting others. Something like that. That this was put in place. I think that was a Reuters article, which made it seem like you secretly were moving money in the background.
Wait, and this is something that I would be doing?
I don't know. It kind of said that SBF put like a secret backdoor so that he was moving funds to Alameda and it was undetected. Like this was something that you put into place potentially. I mean, that's how it read on the article.
Well, that's interesting. So that I can tell you is definitely not true.
Okay.
I don't even know how to code, is the honest, embarrassing answer. So I certainly wasn't like building some backdoor in the system. I could barely use the system. That's not true. I knew this system pretty well from it.
She's good. Look at her. Look at her. You know. Tell me more. Oh my god. She's good. I like this one.
User interface perspective, but I literally never have opened the code base for it. So for any of FTX. So I certainly didn't build a backdoor in there, and I don't know exactly what they're referring to.
I find this response to be so telling because Sam is lying here while telling the truth. I mean, it is technically correct that he didn't build the backdoor in FTX for Alameda, but he wasn't even the person accused of building it because it turns out Tiffany had misremembered the Reuters article. It wasn't Sam. It was Sam's right-hand man, Gary Wang, who was accused of building it. Now, this is obviously a simple mistake, and Sam would know what she's talking about, who she's talking about, and that Gary had built it. But instead of answering the real question, Sam uses this minor slip-up to create a loophole for himself to dodge accountability. Oh, what, I coded it? No, I didn't code it. I don't code. That's clearly a lie because I don't code at all. See, this couldn't be true because I don't code. And he frames everything as this preposterous idea while full well knowing that his partner is the guy who built it. And he uses it to dodge the part of the story where he stole money and springboards into the part where he can sell his preferred narrative, that he just made an embarrassing mistake.
Let me try and give you the nearest neighbor to that. So, like, thing that is true that, like, most resembles that statement, which is that,
this guy's treble in his voice, man. It's just off the charts. Man, I gotta lower my volume.
there was a stop long, and I was wrong. I was incorrect on Alameda's balances on FTX by a fairly large number, an embarrassingly large one, and it was because of a very poorly labeled accounting thing, which was a historical artifact of a time before when from before FTX had bank accounts. And the result of that was basically there was a time way back yonder when people would wire money to Alameda and then ask to be credited on FTX. That just basically never got screwed up. And that was a pretty big miss, and meant that Alameda was substantially more levered than I thought it was. I don't know if that's what that comment's talking about, but that's the best thing I can, the sort of closest thing I can think of for it.
This is the image Sam wants to sell you. One where he didn't steal money, he just fell prey to a mistake, a historical artifact, an accounting error. Honestly, sounds like it could happen to anyone. You forget you had that number in the spreadsheet, and oops, it turned out to be $8 billion of your customers' money. Now, he's not
Oops.
explicit about what this accounting error was, but I can guess based on what he said, because back in the day, FTX didn't have a bank account for customer funds, so they had customers wire money to Alameda Research, their sister company, instead of FTX, and FTX would then just credit that money to their customers' accounts. So I'm guessing Sam's explanation here is that they mislabeled those incoming funds to Alameda as Alameda's funds, and then somehow forgot that they owed those FTX people their money. It's just a number on a website somewhere. When they go out to cash it out, all of a sudden it's like, well, oh, I thought that was Alameda's money. That's the strongest defense I can maybe think of here, that, oh, we had this complicated accounting system that was confusing and we screwed up. Oopsie doopsie, we lost $8 billion. And crucially, you'll notice that Sam's explanation requires no amount of fraud or stolen money. It's just a poorly labeled account. It's an embarrassing mistake. And we even saw this end up on one of Sam's internal spreadsheets as a, quote, hidden, poorly internally labeled fiat account, which he says actually explains most of this story.
This whole long saga of it. And then there's like a dumb account that we labeled confusingly 4 years ago. And that was like 2/3 of the whole saga.
Now, this has to be one of the most transparent dog ate my homework excuse, just in the world of high finance. You know, I mislabeled an account. I just accidentally labeled your money as my money. Oops. Sorry, guys. Lost $8 billion there. Didn't mean to do that. I mean, again, this is me reading into what he said here about why he lost it. We still don't know exactly what this internally labeled account is. I'm just trying to give the best explanation from the available evidence. But either way, Sam claims that even despite all of this, the real mistake was actually declaring bankruptcy in the first place. Because without it, well, things would kind of be fine.
And like, then the saga ends, and I honest to God believe if I hadn't filed for bankruptcy, all users would be whole and withdrawals would be on FTX right now. And not just US, international as well. And I might still get there. We'll see. I don't know. It might happen, it might not. But minutes after I filed for bankruptcy,
I'm sorry, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but goddamn, just
Are you able
if
to add it
anybody
to the
looks like a
estate?
sneaky little weasel that's gonna cheat you out of your money, that's the look. Oh, not her, but Sam Friedman is the look. Sorry. Oh, back here. I'll quit talking.
8 minutes after I filed for bankruptcy, $4 billion more came in of liquidity.
Are you able to add it to the estate?
I'm working on it, but the current trustees of the estate would rather burn it all to the ground out of shame and attempt to find a way to bring more value to customers. So right now I'm stuck in a jurisdictional battle between countries over the bankruptcy.
All right, a lot more to unpack here. Sam claims that FTX and FTX US would have basically been fine had he not filed for bankruptcy because he got $4 billion in liquidity minutes after filing. Now, the problem with this is that we just have no evidence any of this is true. And given all the past claims of Sam that have proved to be wrong, like his solvency, I find this very uncredible. It's very convenient when you think about it that, oh, we got a bailout right after I can't help anything anymore.
Ah, shucks. Don't you hate that? Don't you hate that? You commit, or you file for bankruptcy, and literally minutes later, you're bailed out and then some. And the billions. So I tell you, some people are just unlucky.
And those darn bankruptcy lawyers just want to burn it all down. Somehow, I doubt that anybody would turn down $4 billion for customers, but that appears to be the story Sam's sticking with. In addition to this, Sam also insists that FTX is not as bad off as people say. Here's him responding to a claim that users will get almost nothing from the bankruptcy.
Well, I mean, not nothing. Like, I think, that's not counting, like, just liquid assets that are there. I think if nothing happens, if I can never do anything again and they're left to their own devices, eventually US will get a penny on the penny, a dollar on the dollar once they get around to admitting that. And international will get, I don't know, 20, 25 cents on the dollar. So I don't know exactly what, something like that.
Now, these are just more wild lies from Sam, specifically about the part about FTX International.
I love how he knows so much, but knows so little. It's amazing. This guy's word salad. He should be a politician. I mean, really.
Which is hopelessly insolvent. He claims it only needs $4 billion, but that's not true. The only way he arrives at this number is because he's counting billions of dollars in coins that FTX has as real money, while full well knowing he could never sell that. So I find this to be kind of dishonest because, like, if I create Coffee Coin and create 1 billion tokens, sell one of them for $1, technically my market cap would be $1 billion. But you'd be a fool to actually believe that's what I'm worth. But that's essentially what Sam's doing with his own balance sheet. He's treating these coins, which he owns the majority of, as if he could sell them at the current market price, which everyone knows he can't. And this denial also extends to his own coin, FTT, which is the native token of FTX, which he used as collateral to get these loans. Now, Sam says it's probably a mistake to use them as collateral, but he argues that FTT was really valuable, although hearing him explain how is pretty interesting.
I think FTT was basically more legit than most tokens in some ways. Like, I think its value is more economically underpinned than the average, than the average token was. That being said,
Why do you feel that way?
wrong. Because like the buy and burn, like, it's not just like a token that like does nothing. Like, at least it does something.
Now, I'm kind of speechless here. Sam seems to be suggesting that his token doesn't do nothing, therefore is justifiably worth $1 billion. This is despite the fact that he created it from thin air and owned most of the tokens. It's just so insanely cynical, in my opinion. His real justification for its use case is only these buy and burns he did with the FTT token, which is just basically where FTX spent money to buy up a bunch of FTT tokens, which they owned most of. So it's literally arguing that pumping your own price makes a token valuable. I don't know. It's akin to saying my Ponzi is better than your Ponzi because I pump my own money back into it sometimes. I don't know. It's ridiculous. And it reminds me of a video we did 6 months ago where Sam described everything as a Ponzi scheme. Well, it seems fitting that he actually created his own token with similar Ponzi-nomics, with a few extra bells and whistles, I suppose. Now, funny enough, after this long call spent dodging or being duplicitous about his responsibility of fraud here, Sam complained about reporters not being interested in the real story, the boring story. And he said that he's tired of getting questioned about these provocative questions, like his relationship issues.
The problem is that at the end of the day, their metric is clicks. Like, that's what they need to get. And it's fine. It is what it is. But like, what it means is that like a boring story won't sell. And so they're going to be trying to ask me like the most provocative possible questions. I kind of felt like, all right, like we as a society have, in my opinion, my humble opinion, spent about enough time this week trying to figure out whether anyone in living in Albany was polyamorous.
I found this answer really amusing since he's the one who's been dodging hard questions this entire time and then says no one wants to hear the real story, and also then brings up his personal life and says, why do people keep asking about my personal life? Like, wait a second, you just brought that up. So I find it really weird to be complaining about nobody wanting the real story and then not answering hard questions about backdoors and instead talking about your relationship. I just thought that was really funny. Now, so far, I've spent a lot of time talking about Sam's credibility or lack thereof, but to me, this all begs the question, what can we learn from Sam, who's so calculated, who's so intent on building this reputation or this image of himself, and he just isn't a reliable narrator? And I think the only honest answer is that we can see how flawed and warped his reality really is. Because in Sam's world, he's still the good guy. He just made an honest mistake, an embarrassing mistake, sure, but an honest one. It's the lawyers who screwed him, who want to burn things to the ground. He's standing on the sidelines with $4 billion that no one's seen, ready to put it all in to save everyone. If you only let him sell you his Ponzi tokens on the way out, it'll all be fine. But we know the truth. Things are not fine at FTX. Reality has finally barged its way into the Bahamas, and it's taking hold. So I want to wrap this up by speaking to the person who's responsible for this interview, Tiffany Fong. I wanted to ask how she even got this interview, since so few people have been able to speak to Sam.
I was surprised that he was willing to chat with me too. I'm not a traditional journalist or a reporter. I literally only started posting about crypto at the end of June because I lost a lot of money to Celsius Network. So I mostly started posting on Twitter and YouTube just to vent. But a few months into posting, Celsius employees started sending me leaked information, like leaked files and leaked audio, one of which was a leaked internal all hands meeting that I posted on September 13th to the public. And I think you actually briefly covered that in one of your videos. But Sam Bankman-Fried started following me that day. So we had a couple of brief friendly exchanges on Twitter. A couple of them I think are actually public. So our DMs were already open when FTX filed for bankruptcy on November 11th. So I just figured I would shoot my shot and see if he'd be willing to chat with me. I really was not expecting a response from him, but a few days later, on November 16th, he said he'd be happy to chat, and he actually suggested a voice chat. So that's how all this came about, and it's all still kind of shocking to me.
Wow, so it was not like that's why she wasn't really that prepared. So, yeah, that mistake she made wasn't. I mean, come on. She had an hour to prepare. Well, yeah, he had the next hour free. So it sounds like she had to do it on the spot. So good for her for being able to memorize all that gobbledygook in her head just off top of her head.
To me as well.
That's so crazy because basically you're one of the few people who got a call with Sam. I don't think you've spoken to many other people. Definitely no one else that I know of on audio. So I understand that you'll be releasing the full call yourself on your YouTube channel. But, you know, how long is this call? Where can people learn more about you?
The call should be about 20 minutes long. I did redact some of the parts that he explicitly told me.
She is about to blow up, son. I know I'm going to sub. I don't want to hear the rest of this conversation.
Not to repeat, but yeah, I'll post the call on my YouTube channel because I think that a lot gets lost.
Tiffany Fong, go subscribe.
For sure.
Let's go
For
subscribe
sure, guys,
now.
be sure to go check out the full call on Tiffany's page. I'll link both of her Twitter and YouTube on in the description below. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Oh. What she got? Yo, I bet she gets the 10K. Just off of the Sam Fried story. Good for her. Go subscribe. But yeah, man, fucking weird. It was really weird to see all these people just dumping all these celebs, just like creating stories. Like, Tom Brady. Tom Brady not donated, but invested like 450 million, 450 million, something like that. Man, I tell you, once these celebrities find something, oh, it's a thing. Oh, it's hot. It's hot. Oh, fashion or what do they call it? Oh, it's popular. You know, I want to be a part of it. Hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. I gave 600 million. Blah 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 blah. Eh. That money's gone. That money is gone. You guys are never seeing it again. Tom Brady. I mean, as a Chiefs fan, screw you. But, you know, as a fellow man, brother, I hope you can live the rest of your life without that money. Because you ain't never seeing that shit. Ever. Ooh, sorry. Yeah, I'm going off script here. I'm starting to swear. So I'm going to get up and out of here. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Go subscribe to these two, Tiffany Fong and Coffezilla. All right, out of here. Deuces.